Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic live on location here at the Fargo Dome. We are in a media timeout of the nine-man championship. Surprisingly scoreless. I thought we'd have about 3 touchdowns on the board. It's great to see Justin Fletschock from the North Dakota High School Activity Association. This has become tradition that we do the show up here. Fletch always gives us a few minutes. It's great to see you, bud. How you been?
Yeah, good. It's been a really good fall and 60 degrees today, so everyone can get here. You know, a couple years ago we had teams from 20 miles away staying over the night before to make sure they got here. So, no, it's good fall.
All right, I always test your baseball knowledge. Aaron Judge, MVP over Cal Raleigh. How'd you feel about that?
You know, I was hoping Cal Raleigh
As
would
was
get
I.
it, but Judge's stats were unbelievable.
Yeah.
I thought there might have been a little Yankee fatigue. He's already won.
Yeah, I know.
I thought maybe they'd go a different direction. Me personally, the demands of a catcher, I don't think we'll ever see an offensive season like that.
60 home runs.
I mean, people talk about Joe Mauer winning MVP because he won a batting title, but he didn't hit 60 home runs. He didn't even hit 30 that year. So, I mean, I kind of hoped Cal Raleigh because I don't see another catcher ever doing that. So
the World Series got the most ratings we've seen in a long time. It was an unbelievable 7-game series. Just your thoughts of watching that. I know the Dodgers won, but the Blue Jays are this close.
Yeah.
They have 1 out of the 9th inning
and the Mariners
and can't
are
close
that
it.
close.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, both of those got to be very disappointing. But the thing is you know, people don't want to say they like dynasties, but you know all the Dodgers players. And the Dodgers players are very likable.
Yes.
Ohtani,
Yes.
Freddie Freeman,
Yep.
Mookie Betts. Those are people that you enjoy watching. So, or Kershaw. The fact that he got
right.
into that
Correct.
game, I can't believe that he pitched in the postseason this year, but good for him. So.
That Game 7, I mean, it's hallowed ground to talk about 91 around here, but that is going to be up there in the pantheon of all-time great games.
The worst part about it for the Blue Jays is you can point to like 5 different winning points for them. I mean, Rojas falling over and throwing the guy out at home.
And he still got him out.
And barely had his cleat on the play, Will Smith. It was awesome, though. It was, as a person that wasn't really didn't have a rooting interest, that's what you want to see, and that's probably why there was that many people watching.
Yeah, it seemed like word of mouth spread, especially the 18-inning game, and then when you got to Game 6 and how that ended on a double play that the Dodgers had to have, and then obviously what happened in Game 7 was remarkable. All right, from your position, tell us, watching this football season play out, would you evaluate of how the year went?
That went really well. You know, we have some really good teams here today.
Yeah.
There was a lot of close semifinals last week. I think the playoffs overall have been really good. You know, we talked, you know, last year at this time probably, you know, we had Horace move up to AAA, Kindred, Central Cross up to AA. They all hosted playoff games, so I think things worked out pretty well there. You know, I think everything kind of came together pretty well. I thought the football committee and our board did a really good job.
Now the big question will be Minot North. They're here. If they move on, they move up in the not-too-distant future. That Kindred game with Devil's Lake is going to be an all-timer, and it's going to be hard to get over in Kindred. But how about Devil's Lake hasn't been here in 15 years?
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of familiar names from the last couple of years, but Mason Palmer, we were talking earlier today about, you know, the talent that kid has. I don't think he gets enough attention.
No.
I mean, he's an all-state football quarterback, heck of a point guard.
He's actually a better baseball player, right?
I watched him throw a perfect game in the state tournament last year, so, yeah, he's pretty good.
This first game here, and we talked about it off the top, it's hard to do this when everybody expects you to. That's why I got to give credit to both these teams for getting here.
Well, great coaches and great athletes, and, yeah, I think from the end of last year, the last buzzer of the 9-man game last year, everyone expected these two teams back. But it is fantastic. It's fantastic football. This is one of, you know, I think everyone circled the 9 a.m. game as I'm excited to watch this 9-man game this year.
Well, normally the 9-man gets some casual viewers, but I think even more knowing the fact, you know, Gunnar Thielges is committed. He's going to play football for the Bison next year. Obviously, with Elliott's team, they know full well of what they have in store, that this might get more casual eyeballs. We're hoping so today.
Correct. I hope they're not watching us. I hope they're watching the game. No, it's awesome. I mean, and then just all day long with Botno first time.
Yeah.
Devil's Lake, like you said, long time. Minot North first time. It's again, I say it every year. It's my favorite day of the year on our calendar because we have 4 championships. It's super intense, but we're in the Fargo Dome. It's just a great environment. It's loud no matter how many people are here. So it's awesome.
Hey, in the era, we can have 2 screens, man. You can have your tablet on us and the other on WDAY, right?
Yeah.
That's the plan.
I mean, everyone has 3 screens at work
Right?
anyway.
You got it.
One here, one on the game.
You mentioned Botno. How big look at the road they went, going
Yeah.
all the way to Ellendale, then go all the way to Killdeer, and now here to Fargo
And
today.
that Ellendale game, they were down a couple touchdowns.
Unbelievable.
Came back and won. It was really, it's really exciting to see that because, Botno had been close a couple years. I think they made a semifinal.
21. Yep.
And it's good to see that because we always want, obviously we have traditional powers that year in and year out are good, but it's good to see a program come from kind of the bottom up and see success.
Well, I think we were doing this last year about Class A, knowing, okay, there's going to be a vacuum with Central Cass and Kindred, and Langdon always has been good. Velva's been there, but here's Botno with an opportunity to step in when those teams have left.
And even Killdeer, this is the third
Yes.
straight year they've been into the semis or quarter. I mean, it's really been a dominant run for Langdon, Velva. I bet that's 4 or 5 semifinals in a row for both of those schools. But yeah, it's good to see someone break through. And Zach, their coach, great guy. He's their AD, so we work with him a decent amount.
That is a lot on his plate this week.
It's good to see.
The last game tonight, again, Bismarck, you're talking about powers. Yep. Bismarck Century has owned this division since 2015. Yep. And here's Davies, much like LLM, back in this game after losing last year.
Correct. And, I think Davies was probably disappointed last year. I think last year, coming into the game, I think they were the favorite. But for them to buckle down and get back here this year for Wayne and his team, it's just good to see.
I want to ask you, obviously we had plenty of chatter on the eastern side of the state and how things bore out, that Shanley didn't make it at 6-3. The guys went back to the football committee, decided to go back. The coaches brought this up of going 4 from the east, 4 from the west. I know they got changed a couple years ago. Is that something you imagine revisiting again this offseason?
I don't think so. It really came from our coaches. The coaches didn't want to rely on a computer to rank teams for making the playoffs. They felt like they wanted it face-to-face on the field in their region. And, it's funny because in the computer rankings, I think Shanley was 3rd and didn't make the playoffs. But that is the what the coaches wanted, and our board listened to them. And I don't foresee a change. And, again, this is a 2-year plan, so things can change in the next 15 months. But I don't foresee them because I think that's what they feel comfortable with is, all right, there's 12 of us. There's 6 in a region. 4 of us are going. Let's figure out who those 4 are.
What was the feedback initially, though, on the top 8 of doing, because you did that for a 2-year stretch?
It wasn't great.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't great around teams 7, 8, 9, 10 because I think a lot of people wanted to know when they went into the last week, what's it going to look like if this, if that?
Yeah,
well, we can't tell you because it's a computer that's coming out with these rankings. So. It makes it difficult, and people want to know ahead of time, and I don't blame them. It's a lot easier to physically see the game and know that if that happened, that happened, and that's the way it is.
It's North Dakota football. We got to ask routinely about playoff structure and classes and all that. I will ask on Minot North, is that something that, with their success last year, this year, are they bound for 3A sooner than later?
Well, I mean, not in this 2-year plan they won't be, but after this, I think Minot has told us they want both their teams in the same division in AAA because they're not playing right now, which is kind of unfortunate. But with the schedule the way it is, they just aren't able to play. And I know you have 2 public schools in your city. You want to see them play. So.
Well, we saw that this year with West Fargo Horace playing Cheyenne and West Fargo. Those games were unbelievable for the first time.
One thing about scheduling I want to say, we look at a lot of games because of our restrictions. One of the things that we saw this year were some really good inter-division games. Kindred playing Horace.
That was awesome.
That was a huge step forward. And it didn't hurt Horace at all. And it didn't hurt Kindred at all. And I wish we would see a little bit more of that where some of our inter-division matchups that could happen do happen. We've seen it a little bit more in basketball, especially girls basketball. We saw a lot of inter-division scheduling. But I just think that's something we should see more because good on good is good. I don't care what division you're in. So.
Before we get wrapped up here, obviously we're going to talk with Matt about this the next segment. Huge week next week with the debut of 3 classes of volleyball. What's the anticipation like next week for Bismarck?
Well, I'm gladly not in charge of volleyball, but I think it's going to be huge. I think the crowds are going to be. I mean, I think back a few years ago when we had, I think it was a Northern Cass, Linton, Century, Cheyenne, back-to-back championships. That place was packed.
Was that in Bismarck?
Yeah, it was in Bismarck.
Yeah.
They didn't get done till midnight that night.
That's right.
It was 2 5-setters. But I will say, now we added another division. And I think it's going to be really an attractive event. I think Kevin in our office who runs it has it set up really well. And I think I'm anticipating it's going to be a big success.
Coverage will be on WDAY2 starting on Thursday. How much did you guys take notes from basketball's rollout to use for volleyball?
Well, it's so different with 3 weekends in basketball
right.
as opposed to 1 weekend. We have, there's just, it's a lot. We're on 2 sites each weekend. Well, not AA for basketball, but it's just a little different. One thing that's the same is there's going to be a lot of people in town,
yeah.
a lot of hotels being used, and a lot of teams. So it'll be interesting to see how the ancillary stuff around the tournament works, because that's what we've seen is the biggest changes. There's just a lot more outside of the actual games.
One last thing before we go. And this is for later we can talk about because we're getting close to basketball. The Class A girls are going to be in Jamestown
yep.
for the first time. What's the anticipation of that, knowing you got some big teams,
yep.
they're going to be coming to Jamestown?
Well, the Civic can hold them. I know that. I mean, it holds about 6,000, so we're excited for that. I think it's a good thing because we just have teams from around the state, and it'd be nice to get closer to their fan bases every few years. Same with the B going back up to Minot.
Yeah.
Last year I think we had Kenmare and Berthold in the semis, and the girls. That's a long way
coming
from there. So
yep.
This year we're in Minot, so I think it's good for us to give that opportunity to move it around the state. Jamestown's done a tremendous job with those 2 tournaments that we've had there, and I've been really happy with how it's gone.
And we haven't talked since we rolled out all the spring tournaments, which was fantastic. I'm not sure still how we did it. I called the Class B softball, which was tremendous. The
yep.
crowds were great at NDSU.
Yep.
It just keeps getting, and that Central Cass team was loaded, as you know.
Yep.
It just keeps getting better and better there on that softball level.
Well, and it sounds like we're going to add 2 or 3 teams again this
yeah.
year. It really... Girls wrestling and softball have rocketed as far as participation, which is great to see. Because when I was in high school, essentially in the winter, girls didn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, volleyball was in the winter, but if your school didn't have volleyball, because not everyone did, you really didn't have an option to participate.
I know you got to get to work. Thanks so much
yes.
for doing this, bud. It's great to see you. Be well and have a great holiday, okay?
I appreciate all you do for high school sports, Dom.
Thanks, bud. Justin Fletschock joining us from the NDHSAA. We'll take a break. The big boss is going to join us. Matt Fetch will join us here on site, updating the game here. Again, you won a lot of bets. 0-0 in the second quarter of the 9-man game. We're back on Hot Mic right after this.